Takes a free kick off the ground. The ball's high above the ground is given by the formula y equals 5x minus x squared, where the time is in seconds. The time is seconds. The time is seconds. The ball's in flight. Y is the height of the ball's in meters. Choose a suitable domain and draw the graph. Now, what you know about time? X. What'd you say? It's in seconds. X equals 1 means 0 seconds. X equals 1 means 1 second. X equals 2 means 2 seconds. Can I say x equals minus 1? Anybody x equals minus 1? Does that work? No. Because time can't be negative. You then go to your calculator. You pick the table function. You draw this graph. 5x minus x squared. You choose, I'm in science mode, so I'm just going to fix that. I want to go to normal mode. Now I'm back to normal, okay? I'm going to start at 0. I'm going to end at, I don't know when I'm going to end, do I? So let's make it 10 seconds and see what happens. Step 1. Now, what this means that x equals 0, at time equals 0, when you start, the guy hasn't kicked the football yet. Why has he not kicked the football yet? Because it's 0 off the ground. It isn't even 0 meters off the ground yet. After 1 second, it's 4 meters off the ground. After 2 seconds, it's 6 meters. After 3 seconds, it's 6 meters. After 4 seconds, it's 4 meters. 5 seconds, it hits the ground again, doesn't it? And 6 seconds would mean it's 6 meters underground. Is that possible? 6 minus 6 is not possible because it can't go underneath the ground. Okay? So what's going to happen is we're going to choose, our domain is going to be from 0 to 5. Okay? Then we're going to go down and actually draw the graph. Can somebody tell me the points? I think it was 0, 0. And this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to call that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so 1, 4 you said? 2, 6, yeah? 3, 6? 4, 4? And 5, 0? I'm about to lose some marks. Somebody tell me why I'm going to lose marks. 2 reasons why I'm about to lose marks. It doesn't exactly. You're about to get you're ahead of me. Can anybody give me a reason I lost marks there? Yes. Drawing straight lines all the time. That's a curve. Can't do that. Second reason. I'll fix that first reason first, okay, and then I'll do the second reason now. So I go up like so. I draw the curve, and then I get to here, and I go bit more curvy than the last time. A bit of a wobble in there, wasn't there? Just fix that up there. That's why you draw on pencil, lads. You don't draw on pen. Right, that's pretty okay. Any other reason why I lost marks? There's another big reason why I lost marks there. Can anybody tell me? I should be going slightly above and back down again, as Josh suggested to me. So here's what we're going to do. Sometimes you can't be sure how far you need to go up. So what Josh suggested, and did you hear this about this 0.5 thing before, Josh?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 0.5 thing, okay, is you go back and instead of doing you're going to end at 5. Instead of doing a step of 1, you're going to do a step of 0.5. And what this will do is, see the way we don't know where to go in between 2 and 3. Go halfway between 2 and 3 and you get 2.5. 2.5 is worth 6.25. You got that? So 2.5 is here. So 6.25 is just going to be just about there. So your graph goes up and back down again. I'm just going to draw it in red now, just be easier. And that's your graph. Okay, everybody happy with that? Yes, James.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm
This function works off an n-shaped curve. So the graph keeps going down like this. Okay, But the whole point is, because the question says it's a Gaelic ball being kicked in the pitch, the Gaelic ball can't go through the ground. The Gaelic ball just doesn't fall through the ground like a bullet going through butter. The ground stops the Gaelic ball where it is. So technically the start and end point of the question have to be here and here. That's what it means. The Gaelic ball can't go through the ground, so it can't be a negative number.
Yeah, I got that.
Use your graph to estimate the maximum height of the ball. The maximum height of the ball is where the y value is the biggest, because the height of the ball is the y value. Okay, it says that in part 1 of the question. You can see it here. Gaelic player takes a free stand. The ball's height above the ground is given by the formula, this formula here. The y value is the height, and it's given in terms of x's. Okay, so we already know that it's going to be 6.25 because we drew that in the last question. Remember, we did the 2.5 in the middle, and we got 6.25 as the maximum height. So you get marks for putting any range of that, because you're meant to use your graph to do it. So you won't actually get full marks for just writing in the number. You should probably do this. Go straight up and then straight across, and you roughly get 6.3, 6.4 for me. I drew it ever so slightly inaccurately, so 6.3 or 6.4. That's how you do it. Okay. Now, the graph below represents the flight of another function. The height of the football is given by the formula y equals ax minus x squared. Use the diagram to find the value of a. Before I do that, what I want to do is I want to show you, if somebody drew this for me, how would I find out the equation we used? Does everybody know the equation we used for this graph here? It's y equals x squared minus 5x. Is everybody happy with that? Now, if I was to ask you about roots, what do roots mean? Roots means where does it cross the x-axis? What values of x does it cross the x-axis? Anybody tell me? X equals 0 and x equals 5. Now you would have done this before. Bring the 5 over to your side, what happens? You get? Alright. You're going to remember how you solve an equation. You're actually going to do this backwards now. And then you're going to get x multiplied by x minus 5 equals 0. Multiply it out. And what you get? X squared minus 5x equals 0. Okay, let me explain this. When you have a function, when you have this function here, yeah, and you want to figure out where does it cross the y-axis, y has to equal 0, doesn't it? And when you solve this equation, you find out that your answers are 0 and 5. What's the first thing you do with this equation? You take out... Yes, Josh?
Where did you get that equation from?
It's in the question.
Oh,
Oh. Oh, sorry. My fault. I did it the wrong way around, didn't I?
I think so. Yeah.
I did it the wrong way around. Sorry, excuse me. I actually did it the wrong way around. Evil. Sorry, the equation is 5x minus x squared. Sorry, excuse me on that. Now, see where we got the two answers. See where we got the x equals 0 and the y equals x equals 5, yeah? They're both located when y equals 0. So we got 5x minus x squared equals 0. Now here's how your calculator would have solved this. First of all, what can we take out in common? What can we take out in common? X. Okay, so we have x and, anybody? X and 5 minus x equals 0. Okay? You multiply this out, you solve that then, and you get x equals 0 and 5 minus x equals 0. Do you remember type 2 equation? Then you move the x over to the other side, and what happens? 5 equals x. And there are your two roots, isn't it? 5 and 0. Now, how do you go backwards is what I'm trying to ask you. Okay? To go backwards, let's imagine that we don't know this equation. Let's say we don't know what this equation is. Do you got it? Now, If we don't know this equation, we start off with x equals 0 and x equals 5. Move the 5 over the other side and we get x equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. Happy enough with that?
Yeah.
Multiply the x by the x minus 5 and we're going to get x squared minus 5x. Now there's one problem with this. Can anybody tell me the problem with this? Is the graph we drew, is that n-shaped or u-shaped? N-shaped. N-shapes have a minus x squared, while u-shapes have a plus x squared. So what do we know about this then? So multiply both sides by minus 1. And we get that, don't we? And it's the same thing as 5x minus, which is the original equation. We're going to do this exactly the same question on the next one. Okay, now let's estimate this, okay? The two roots of this equation are, guys? 0 and 4.5. 4.5 is the same thing as, anybody? 9 over 2. What was the step that came before the 9 over 2? Where does the 2 usually come from? 2x equals 9. Do you know when you're solving equations, what's the step that usually comes before the fraction at the end? 2x. And then what's the step before that? Do you see I'm basically solving a quadratic equation backwards?
Where's the 4.5?
Here, see where it hits the x. See where it hits the axis?
Yeah.
That's called a root of the equation. Okay. Now, is this function n-shaped or u-shaped? Does that mean a plus x squared or a minus x squared? Okay. So we're going to multiply x by 2x minus 9 equals 0. Okay. And what do we get? 2x squared minus equals 0. But that's a, 9x. Is that a U shape or an N shape? It's a U shape. So how do I modify it into an N shape? Okay, and then we get 9x minus 2x squared equals 0. Now, the problem with this question is it wants me to find the value of a. See the value of a? See that there, find the value of a. Okay. Now, what it says is that this is quite a difficult question to be fair to it, right? That is the graph here, but the problem is, okay. Basically, the problem here is the equation I'm just after getting is an n-shaped function. Okay. The n-shaped function I got was 9x minus 2x squared. This function is guaranteed to pass through 0 and 4.5. Are you happy with that? Now, there's a catch on this. Okay, the catch is that lots of other functions go through 0 and 4.5. I'll give you an example. Pick a number between 2 and 5. Any number you want. Pick me a number. 4. What happens if I multiply this by 4? I get 36x minus 8x squared. Are you happy with that? Now, if I solve this equation, I'll get x equals 0 and x equals 4.5. If you don't believe me, I'll draw it out for you. Okay? So I'm going to draw this out. So I'm going to do y equals 36x minus 8x squared. And you can see that it's going through exactly the same points on the axis, isn't it? But it's just much taller. Do you see that? It's much taller. Okay? So, therefore, I can multiply this equation I have. This equation I have here can be multiplied by any number you can think of, and it'll still pass through 0 and 4.5. You agree with that? Okay. Now, what happens if you look up at your answer? Your answer has no x squared. See, there's no number in front of the x squared. It wants my answer to read ax minus x squared. My problem is the x squared has a 2 in front of it. What could I do to both sides? Divide by 2. I'm going to get 9 over 2x minus x squared equals 0. Does this equation, once again, will this equation go through 0 and 4.5? I multiplied it by a number. I multiplied it by a half. So let's see if it does. So I said y equals 9 over 2x. 9 over 2 x. And then minus x squared. Once again, it goes through the same 2 points. Can you see that? But it's a lot shorter. Yeah? So by multiplying it by halving it, I basically halved its original size. This is the original one, and because we multiplied by a half, we basically halved the y value. Okay? So what this means is that the equation we're looking for is ax minus x squared. A therefore has to be equal to 9 over 2. Okay. So what we have here, guys, is solve g of x equals 0. What does a solve question mean? What happens at the end of a solve question? You have x equals something, x equals something. What is g of x? X squared minus 3x minus 10 equals 0. You have to be able to do this. Like, this is bread and butter to you. This should be like spelling, this should be like rehearsing off the alphabet to yourself. It should be that easy. Now, you get the reference number. What's the reference number? Reference number?
Minus 3, minus 1.
No. Reference number? Minus 10. Two numbers that will multiply to give you minus 10. 5 and 2. Or minus 5 and plus 2. Why did I choose minus 5 and plus 2 instead of 5 minus 2? I want minus 3 in the middle. Okay? You open up your two brackets and you have x in both of them, and you're going to have a minus 5 in one of them and plus 2 in the other one. Okay? And this will mean x minus 5 equals 0. This means x equals 5 and x equals minus 2. Happy enough with that?
Well, where do you put the 3x and minus 3x?
Okay. If you want to know what really happens, I'm going to do an expansion for you here. Okay. You can figure this out two ways, Josh. The first way you can figure it out is by multiplying this back out. When you multiply it back out, you're going to get x squared plus 2x minus 5 times x is minus 5x, and then minus 5 by 2 is minus 10. And you see the 2x minus the 5x gives you, it's exactly the same equation. Okay. The second way is using the long method. That I've also taught you the long method for this. Okay. And I mainly use the long method when it's not an x squared, when it's 2x squared or 3x squared. So the long method would be like this. You go back to your reference number. I'm going to show you the long method here. Some of you might want to use the long method all the time. There's no worries with that. You break the minus 3x up into what? Minus 5x plus, and you can see directly where your minus 3 has gone. You can see where exactly it's gone. It's turned into minus 5x plus 2x. The numbers we got over here.
Yeah.
And then all you have to do is factorize. So you have x into, and then plus 2 into, and see the x minus 5 happened twice.
Yeah.
So you're going to have x plus 2 into. That way probably makes more sense.
Yeah.
Just takes ever so slightly longer. But if you prefer to do it just that one way, the long way works for everything. The short way only works for x squared. You got that?
Yeah.
Now, what about the next one? What about question 2? Solve h of x equals 0. How do you solve h of x equals 0? Anybody? H of x equals 0. 2x squared minus, or 1x minus 10. Same thing. Reference number? Minus 20. In the first question, Josh, there's a 1 in front of that.
Yeah.
So the 1 multiplies by the minus 10, leaves it at minus 10. But because there's a number in front of this one, it turns into minus 20. Now two numbers that will multiply to give you minus 20.
1 and 20.
1 and 20, yeah. 2 and 10, yeah. 5 and 4 is the best choice. Why is 5 and 4 the best choice? Now, when you have a minus reference number, one of them has to be minus and the other one has to be plus. So it's going to be minus 5 plus 4. Now you can see directly where your minus 1 has gone. It's gone into minus 5x plus 4x minus 10. 1 second. Yes.
You just make like the largest number like the minus?
Now, 2x, so we take out what's in common. What can we take out of the first two? Anybody? X into?
We might use 2x and plus 4.
You can do, but it doesn't affect your answer. I'll do it both ways for you, okay? X into 2x minus 5. What number can come out of these two? 2 into, and then you have x plus 2 into equals 0. Then you have x plus 2 equals 0. X equals minus 2. 2x minus 5 equals 0. 2x equals 5. X equals 5 over 2.
What did you do with the 4x minus 10?
What's 2 multiplied by 2x? And 2 multiplied by minus 5? So it just goes in there. Now, Josh asked me a question. Josh's question was about what happens if I change the two of these around? You're allowed to change the two of them around, provided the plus stays in front of the 4 and the minus stays in front of the 5. Why is that? Because for this specific question, you want minus 1 in the middle. 4x minus 5x is minus 1. Do the same procedure again. 2x into 2x multiplied by what gives you 2x squared? X plus 2, and then minus 5 into x plus 2, and your answer would be 2x minus 5 into x plus 2. Exactly the same answer as that one there, except the other way around. Using the reference number means it doesn't matter which number in the middle comes first. Provided you have the correct plus or minus in front of it, it won't make a difference. Now, see the word solve to 2 decimal places. That's a dead giveaway for what? What's it a giveaway for? The minus b formula. The minus b formula would work for all 3 equations. However, if it's a factorize, you still need to know how to factorize, because there's a way around that. They can ask you to factorize and not solve. Can anybody tell me the difference between a factorized question and a solved question? Using the first one as an example. Factorized question hasn't got equals 0. And the answer of a factorized question would be this part here. While a solved question means you have to get x on its own. So you have the extra steps at the end to get x on its own. So the minus b formula, can you remember this? The minus b formula only works for solved questions. It will work for any solved question. It will, however, not work for factorized questions. You got that?
Yeah.
Great. Now, the equation is f of x equals 0. F of x is 2x squared minus 3x minus 4. What's your a value? A value, anybody? 2. Your b value? Your c value? Minus 4. So, and what's your minus b value? If b is minus 3, what's minus b?
Plus 3.
Plus 3. Plus 3 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is minus 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times minus 4. All over 2 times 2. 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 32. What I've always told you guys is you put this part into the calculator, square root and all, and what you'll get is square root of 41. Alright? Square root of 41. Now, what we have next is we have over 2 times 2, which is 4. Now, you gotta put both these into the calculator. Just while I'm here, I'll just indulge you in a bit of calculator work. Sure some of you've forgotten. See the minus 3. has to be in brackets. If you just entered minus 3 squared without the brackets, you're going to get a different answer to me. Okay. Now, this here equals square root of 41. Some of you guys entered this into your calculator, while I entered this into my calculator. Here's the difference. The calculator reads this as minus 1 multiplied by whatever 3 squared is. 3 squared being 9. Hence the answer being minus 9 instead of plus 9. Calculator reads this one as minus 3 multiplied by minus 3, which is 2 minuses makes it positive. 3 multiplied by 3 equals 9. Don't make that mistake again, okay? Whoever you are. Now, okay, so what we get next is we got to put that into the calculator next. So we're going to once again press the fraction button to begin with, then press 3, try plus root 41 first, and then divide it by 4. And what do we get? 2.35. And then don't rewrite the whole thing, just go back to your calculator, keep pressing left, and then you get minus root 41, and you get an answer of minus 0.85. Happy enough with that? Now lads, these are the roots of the equation. All three graphs are what shaped? Plus x squared, plus x squared, plus x squared. What does that mean? U-shaped. I'm looking for a U-shaped graph that crosses at minus 2 and 5. Where is that located? Minus 2 and 5. Anybody see it? The very first one. The very first one is g of x. Go back. I'm looking for a U-shaped curve that crosses at minus 2 and plus 2.5. Minus 2 and plus 2.5. Minus 2 plus 2.5. Which one's this? This one here? H of x. And finally, I'm looking for an equation which is U-shaped because it has a plus x squared, U-shaped, and it crosses at 2.35 and minus 0.85. 2.35 and minus 0.85, anybody? Plus 2.3 and then minus 0.8. Is that right? This one here, right? 2.3 roughly there, minus 0.8 roughly there. This is f of x.